You are listening to the MSPoweruser podcast. This is episode 41, recorded Thursday, March 30th. Each week on this podcast, we discuss the latest news about Microsoft. Today, we will be talking about the Creators Update, as you might imagine. We will also touch on a couple things regarding Office. Andy will rant a bit about Twitter. And we have a very good reason to discuss the recently announced Samsung Galaxy S8. My name is Vernon E. L. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. What's up, buddy?
Hey, there is not too much going on aside from the previously mentioned Twitter ranting, which will happen later on in the show. But to sum it up, I'm pretty much done with that website. You can still reach me on there, but because I'll check in and I'll see if anyone says anything, I guess, but I have no real want to use it anymore, if that makes any sense.
Well, I have a counter argument to that, and I'm not going to get into that until the proper time. Let's kick it off. Hey, Creators Update, man. We've been talking about RTM for a while. Last episode, Andy went into great depth with it, same as the one before, I think. And it's we've known that it's been official, and now it is officially official.
Yeah, we knew that the date would be on April 11th, and we knew that was going to be the release date for the Creators Update, or rather, it was the planned update or planned date for the update. But now it has been officially confirmed by Microsoft that the rollout is going to start on April 11th, and it's going to go out in waves, much like the anniversary update did. And by doing it this way, Microsoft saves themselves some trouble by, they'll roll it out wave after wave, and if everything goes smoothly, that keeps on rolling out. If there is some strange, unexpected issue that was not planned for, which is incredibly, incredibly low chance of that, then they'll probably stop it, delay it, and wait a little while. But it's officially confirmed, and this is the PC date. Mobile is going to get it just a little bit later, as usual, as it's going to get it on April 25th, and amazingly, the Xbox One got it just like yesterday, if memory serves, but we'll talk about that later in the show. And the Creators Update adds all sorts of, it's not the biggest update in the world, but it does add all sorts of minuscule improvements across the operating system that, they're small, but they will help in a big way. And like Vernon mentioned, I do think I went in depth on some of this a couple episodes ago, but there's neat stuff like folders of tiles on the start menu, a tile-only start menu, night light, which is blue light reduction, which is very, very nice late at night, among other neat little things, including other changes to customization like the return of custom colors and stuff like that. I'm working on some coverage of this, so I got the list memorized in my head, basically.
Well, I like the stuff coming as far as 3D and mixed reality. That's kind of cool. Native game broadcasting powered by Beam. That's going to be
that is an undeniable game changer.
Yeah. Pardon the pun, but yeah, that will be changing the game of game streaming. And Microsoft Edge changes in there. This is kind of an odd one to me because Edge you would think of it as a standalone app if we think, if we compare it to other things. And pretty much every other app should have its individual updates. And Edge cannot be, you get the updates to Edge with the OS update. Now, in the past, you could run different versions of Windows and have you could have different versions of Internet Explorer. You could upgrade forward and backwards or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting to see that follows the OS upgrade now.
It is kind of sad, really, that they did a good job of decoupling Internet Explorer from Windows itself and just kind of had it freed up for a while. I think it was most separate during the Windows 8 era, but with Windows 7, it was also pretty easy to just update that without updating Windows itself. But in Windows 10, you've got to wait for the next big Windows release before you can get an Edge update, and that is it is necessary because of how Edge is made and how it runs, but it should not be necessary. And I really, really hope that they do something at the very least to make it so that they can actually update their browser in a timely fashion like every other company in the world.
It is surprising, and I really do wonder if it is on purpose or not. I don't know. I don't know what else to think about it.
It's a byproduct of the limitations of UWP, to my knowledge, because Edge is more than a traditional UWP app. I mean, it is UWP, but it has access to all sorts of stuff that is specific to it. It has far more access to things, far more potential detail and features than any other UWP app out there. And that's kind of why it has to be updated alongside the operating system, because they are just closely tight-knit in there. And,
if we think about it, really just hooks or APIs, into the, if that's the right term, basically, how it's connected.
I do not exactly have the exact technical terms right now.
I don't either.
My coffee is a little iffy at the moment anyways, so yeah, but...
it is worth mentioning as far as the creators update. It does come with additional, security capabilities and privacy and that type of stuff, which we
one thing
don't really
I will
cover
just
anyway.
interject. One thing I do find interesting about both the anniversary update, boy, we're talking about the anniversary update this late, and the creators update as well, is that they each took steps to let the user know that Windows Defender was an antivirus. Like, for example, the anniversary update added that little status icon for Windows Defender that says PC status protected, and the creators update makes it so that Windows Defender looks like it isn't a rogue. So yeah, it's now the Windows Defender Security Center in the creators update. It has a brand new user interface. Honestly, looks pretty good. I can't lie about that. Although, functionality-wise, Windows Defender is still Windows Defender, and thus leaves a lot to be needed. So yeah, but at least it looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As far as the creators update coming for mobile, substantially or at least notably less features coming with that.
There's a share icon.
Yeah, and yeah.
The most amazing thing to me is that apparently mobile isn't even getting custom colors, which is the most basic thing in the world.
The share icon is already on. It's already on anniversary update, I think, for mobile. Let me.
Oh, well, actually, certain apps, for some reason, some of Microsoft's own apps don't use MDL2 as a font. They'll have their own pre-generated icons in there, and that's why you're seeing the new share icon on various apps. Like I'm on the anniversary update on my PC right now, and let me see, I think in the store... No, store still has the old share button, but I think it's Groove that has the new one. Let's see, open up Groove Music here.
Yeah, now I want to do this. You're saying in anniversary already.
Yeah, actually, I just got the creators update version of Groove on the anniversary update. Yep, the Groove uses the new share icon even when you are on an older build. It's got its own icons there. It's not hooking into the MDL2 symbol font.
I honestly can't find a share icon in Groove. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
Just go to your music and open up an album, and you should see it there.
As far as album, okay, I'm just going right for a track, and from there, there's no icons, just a right click. Well,
that's interesting.
Continue, yeah. Where I still don't see it. Wow, what am I doing wrong? Now this is gonna bug me.
Weird. And I'm not seeing it in the movies and TV thing because I'm not seeing anything in movies and TV that has a share icon out there right now.
Oh, there we go. I do see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, but on movies and TV, I was actually on there last night, and I was trying to share something, and I...
I can't find any share icon in here at all, which is weird.
But yeah, it is, like you said, Andy, it is there. If you go to the album view of a specific album, then you can see this new share icon. Anyway, that's probably, we spent more time on it than it, yeah. That's about all you're really getting for mobile, and it's already there.
You don't even get a full change. It's like you'll see a new share icon across half the operating system. Congratulations. And it's not even new because you're already seeing it in some apps, so double congratulations. Yeah, and go back half a dozen episodes and you'll hear a substantially frustrated rant of mine regarding the psychology of the share icon. And, well,
yeah, never mind.
There are a couple of minor things. Like there's Microsoft Edge can display full color emoji. The Feedback Hub has collections. Microsoft Edge can now read ebooks and read them aloud, which, okay, that's nice and all, but it is a much smaller update on mobile than PC, and that's kind of the point there, I guess. It's a little sad to me, personally, because, yeah, I guess Windows 10 Mobile's kind of a dead topic here, but it's like I still want to see new stuff come to mobile. It's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen.
This is also preparing for RS3, which, of course, is going to be much more focused on mobile, and many have argued that it will actually be called the mobile update or the.
Well, I already heard that RS2 was going to fix everything with mobile. So it's like, and then of course before that, RS1 was going to be the one that would fix it. Then, of course, Threshold 2 was the stable mobile. Yeah, Threshold 2 was the first stable mobile release, wasn't it? So technically can't go back that much farther, but it feels as if every next release is going to be the one that's going to fix it. And it's like, after hearing that so many times, it gets a little hard to think, yeah, this is going to be the one. You know?
I don't think of Windows 10 Mobile right now as being broken. I just think that it's...
I'm not saying it's broken. It's a lower priority target.
Well, absolutely that, but also just a little bit...
it feels as if...
feature poor.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago we were talking about Facebook apps, and we mentioned new features heading to Windows Mobile on a Facebook app, and we mentioned that it was because it's just a port of the iOS app. Whichever they do on iOS, they'll port over to Windows 10 Mobile, and that's kind of how some of this stuff, how some of the changes in RS2 for mobile feel. It feels like, okay, yeah, it's just that it was in an app on the desktop version of the Creators Update. Mobile can get it too. And that's really what it feels like. I mean, we archived a bunch of our notes, but the earliest mobile build that we got a 15.0.25. Like I said, Microsoft Edge can read aloud. Microsoft Edge can display full color emoji. Feedback Hub has collections. The three of those right there, those are not exactly operating system related. Those are app related. And then they have new audio options in ease of access settings. That is an operating system update. That, to be fair, that is completely operating system update, but it's not exactly a major thing, and I'm pretty sure that went to desktop as well at the same time. Let me look here. Yeah, it seems, yes, it was. This was that same thing headed to desktop in the same build, which of course the whole thing is that yes, PC and mobile are connected as well, so that is understandable, I guess. But I mean, it doesn't feel like they're doing anything just for mobile. It feels as if they are doing things... It feels like mobile gets things secondhand. It's a hand-me-down feature in the way it feels. And that's fine. I don't have any issue with it getting that. I have an issue with it getting only that.
Well, the argument can be made that with Windows 10 being able to run on ARM, or I should say ARM chips being able to handle that, that... the way we've been going, like what we think of as mobile doesn't apply as much, and it almost is painful to say that. But it doesn't mean, I mean, obviously our experience is changing, and I think the first platform, the first people that recognize the future of mobile and they find a way to do it. I know Microsoft, I think, did the right thing with going directly to mixed reality with the HoloLens. I think they did the right thing in initiating a decent continuum experience. Now, there's other people jumping on that bandwagon, and who does it better, we don't know. But I think what we think of as a phone, and especially the phone continuum experience, that's the future. And I think what we need to be preparing now, and Microsoft already is, at least they would be if they are smart, and I think they are. I think they're preparing for the new version of mobile computing. And so Windows 10 on ARM makes more sense than Windows Phone / Windows Mobile 10, Windows 10 Mobile. unfortunately.
I completely agree with that. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I've made some similar arguments on here in the past.
Yeah, you have.
It's like it like I can still think that that's the future, and that I can think they don't really have too much reason to continue Windows 10 Mobile in its current state. But I can also think, oh my goodness, I really wish they were, because I liked Windows Phone a lot. In fact, I still do like it quite a bit.
I'm not ready to lament its death yet, but what they're doing for mobile is, I don't want to say that it's not challenging, but it isn't that much more work than what they're doing for Windows, for big Windows. It's pretty much the same thing, and I wish I had specifics to really know where to draw the line, where to where that line is between desktop and mobile. But they're just developing Windows. It's not like they have a mobile team and they have a Windows 10, a big Windows team.
They actually do have a mobile team that they are actually apparently hiring for the mobile team. I think we discussed this a week or two ago. But
it's like 2 people or something.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it surprised me they were hiring at all for it. But yeah,
but so much of the code is the same thing, basically.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. Although I'm still kind of sad that the Continuum improvements that they showed off, they did not land with Redstone 2. They might land with Redstone 3, I'm not sure. I mean, but and then Samsung comes along. Again, we'll talk more about this later, but Samsung comes along. They introduce their own Continuum clone, and it has all the features that Microsoft showed off, but never put into production.
Well, now to be fair, Samsung showed off the features. Now, have they actually there and working flawlessly yet? I mean, yes. I don't know that, but
they're running on demo hardware, which some people actually have now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's completely functional. No mock-ups there.
Well, that is something that Microsoft could get better at. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's also funny that it kind of reminds me that back in the Windows XP days, there in very early times, back when it was still called its codename Windows Whistler, or just Whistler, I forget which. It's been long, but you know how Windows XP's design was that kind of Fisher-Price looking theme called Luna.
Yeah.
Well, originally there was a completely different design there that was much closer to the Windows 95, 98 and the NT line, the Windows Classic theme. And it was called Watercolor, and it was a tweaked version of that. It was kind of funny because it was very minimalistic, very flat. But anyways, that was what they showed off for so long because they didn't want Apple to see Luna and potentially copy the design. So they of course held back. And they instead said, "Oh yeah, this theme that you guys don't like, that's gonna be it." And then of course they unveil Luna. They say, gotcha." But they held back stuff from the competition because they didn't want the competition to see it first and do it first. And also another point was that Apple mused with the idea of putting Siri on the Mac. Then here comes Cortana on the desktop. And Microsoft beat them to the punch, probably hurried up because they heard the competition was doing something. And basically what I'm saying here is you shouldn't announce features before you're ready to put them in, at least not by too much. Like if you were ready to put a feature into production maybe a month after announcement, then go ahead. But with the time gap they have there where they announced all this stuff for Windows 10 Continuum, they gave anyone planning a Continuum clone all the time to meet all those requirements so that Microsoft couldn't have a single one-up on them.
Yeah, I think there's a balance there between even just saying, hey, it was our idea first, even if it isn't available, and then also look at look at Project Scorpio, for example. I mean, that definitely Scorpio was led, basically announced or, very strongly teased before a year or something. I don't remember when that was.
The thing about Scorpio that's funny is that it's also kind of in that place of you're going to compete with them before they can put it out, because Scorpio was announced so early because Microsoft thought that Sony was going to announce the PlayStation 4 Pro, previously called the PlayStation 4 Neo or just the PS Neo at that point, and they thought it was going to be a completely huge different thing than it turned out to be. It was going to be huge. They thought it was going to be this big 4K game console that was running everything at native 4K. It was going to be all these improvements, and it was basically what Microsoft announced with the Scorpio. And so Microsoft shot from the hip and I still think they hit a target with the Scorpio announcement. It's honestly done pretty well. But that was also in response to hearing information that leaked out about competitors before they were ready to put things out in prime time.
That's a good point. What is next on our list here? We've just been kind of all over the place, and none of it was bad, actually.
Yeah, that I actually like doing things that way.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Let's see though, about the Windows 10 Creators Update again, which we're talking about that.
But if you're an insider, you can get that on release preview. So
yeah, it's of course it rolled out to slow. It rolled out to of course went to fast first, then went to slow. And hilariously, earlier today I was thinking, are they going to put this on release preview? I don't remember the anniversary update going to release preview, but then of course, excuse me, I can't even remember if a release preview was a thing that was before the anniversary update. Like, did the anniversary update add release preview, or am I remembering something wrong?
I don't remember that going to release preview. I just remember it being in slow ring.
Yeah, because I
missed it, but
I don't even remember if release preview was a thing then. It's like, it's been long enough. I didn't have the time to check. It was just it's not like I was planning to write out a big report or anything at the time. I was just like, okay. I was just in my head going, okay, was it there? Was it there? And then I look, and then I can see the headlines, and it says Windows 10 Creators Update comes to Windows Insiders in the release preview ring, and I'm like, well, there's my answer.
For anniversary update, was that not actually in the time frame where there were 4 different rings, and they were very oddly, like, maybe that was just for mobile. Remember there was a small window there where it was, I don't know, they were tripping over themselves, changing things up, and let's get these to everybody and options for everyone. And maybe that was a dream. No, I don't know. But
maybe you're thinking of Xbox stuff, because that's where they have 4 rings that are confusing.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So,
but yeah, and it's going to roll out to everybody in various phases. And there's a couple ways you can get it right now. I mean, obviously, you can opt into any Windows Insider ring right now, and you will get it within 24 hours when you're fully switched over to that ring. But there is another way that's coming, and the official release date for the Creators Update is April 11th, and that rollout is going to happen over months like the Anniversary Update rollout was. The Creators, if you want to get it real early, even before the first people get it during the start of the rollout, April 5th is the day to watch, because then an Update Assistant will release that allows you to instantly upgrade your computer to the Creators Update. And this is a tool that leaked out. It was a Walking Cat / Hoxod, who
you're the only person who calls him anything but Walking Cat that I know of.
I don't even know why, but
I don't think it's even letters. I think it's supposed to just be an image.
There's zeros there it's H0X0D. And it's like, I read that as Hoxod. Okay.
I think it's supposed to be a face or something, Andy. Maybe I'm off kilter. It's okay. Walking Cat. We know who. Well, no one knows. Well, few people know who Walking Cat is. He
knows who he is. Oh my goodness, that is a face.
I think so.
I've been thinking. Oh, okay, Hoxod the entire time. No, it is a cat face. Are you? I'm not even going to edit this bit out. I'm not even editing.
So if you don't know what Andy's talking about or what we're talking about,
just open up Notepad, all lowercase, type in H0X0D. That's his Twitter handle. I thought that was a name.
I was going to recommend people just go to the third ring of hell called Twitter and search for the Walking Cat, and then you can see his actual handle.
I thought that was a name, but no, it's a cat face.
Sometimes,
but anyways,
Andy. Sometimes with age does come wisdom, so that's okay.
Vernon has the wisdom of cat faces made with letters and numbers,
which I despise. By the way, I think that it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, but so.
Right,
he found an update assistant that would supposedly allow you to upgrade your PC to the Creators Update instantly, and for a while it worked. And then, of course, by the day that I decided I'd try it, or rather, it was like a couple hours after the news reported on it, actually, and I saw people I knew ran that and it worked. Well, I opened it up. It said, you're currently running the anniversary update build number. And it said, and the latest build number, of course, it goes, 15063. You can update to that build. Would you like to do it? And I go and I say, yes. And it downloads the build and upgrades to it. And that takes about an hour. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that's fine. Some of this stuff seems a little old during the update process, though. I thought they changed that. And then as soon as it gets to the desktop, I open up the Action Center because I wanted to see if the nightlight option was there. So I open it up, and everything's exactly the same. And I'm like, well, okay, what happened? And I open Run, open WinVer, and it's unpatched. It is the unpatched anniversary update. I spent an entire hour installing the anniversary update, which I already had installed, except it was an even older version of it because it didn't have any patches or updates whatsoever. So that was fun.
So the analogy that I can think of here is that you need to change your plugs and your wires on your engine. And you go in there, you change all the wires, and then you go through and you change the plugs. And then you're like, oh, I better change the wires. And then you change out the wires again. Maybe not everyone's going to get that analogy. Maybe just people of my age back when there were actually plugs instead of just coils. But
yeah.
I know there are people that get that analogy. I'm not even a car guy, and that makes perfect sense to me. But
there's at least one person who will get it.
Okay. I've almost never ever asked our listeners to email me. It's not a big deal to me. But if you actually know what that is, you know the difference between plugs and coils. If you know what I mean by swapping out the wires, even if there's only one bad, email me. Or a distributor cap. If you know what a distributor cap is, email me at vernon@mspoweruser.com. And I will be thrilled. And I'll
hire them as my personal mechanic. All right, but yeah, and so it appears that Microsoft just flipped this gigantic off switch at about the time when I had started the update that would make it so that you downloaded the anniversary update instead of the creators update through the tool. I have no idea why, probably just because they wanted to do it on their own terms and not have people who had the leaked executable get it and use it, but yeah. And so they announced that on April 5th, it will start working officially, and you will be able to update to the Creators Update from the Anniversary Update, all manually there. Just download the Update Assistant, which is basically a new generation of the Get Windows 10 app that was on Windows 7 and 8, which is kind of funny because it's has all these things that are like, Windows 10 is the best Windows yet, which a little weird to see when you are running Windows 10. But yeah. If you want to get the Creators Update as fast as you can without joining the Windows Insider program, that is the way to go.
All right.
Okay, then. And next one goes to Vernon.
Speaking of upgrades, those normal people who are probably not listening to the podcast, but if you're an IT person dealing with these normal people, you might be listening. Obviously, there was, the free upgrade offer to Windows 10 expired last year, and there was a substantial flattening of the growth curve for the operating system at that point. It was stuck around 400 million PCs, and but as this gets pushed out to other enterprise in general, we're seeing that they are ready. They're looking forward to upgrading, and the numbers we have are saying basically 47% of companies that are using Microsoft stuff, we could assume, are set to upgrade to Windows 10 from, we can assume, 7 and hopefully not XP, but I know those people are out there upgrading in the next 12 months, and that the Windows 10 deployment, Microsoft says that the Windows 10 deployment is accelerating. So that is, I guess that's good news. That's good. The more people running Windows 10, theoretically, the more security data they have to help keep everything safe. That's a good argument. And of course, more people running it does. And when those older the people using the older versions drop off. That's less support that's needed, although that support is dropping off anyway. And I guess this is good news. Over half of those, almost half of those companies saying they're going to Windows 10 in the next 12 months. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty good. There's no downside there whatsoever. And let's see. Up next, we have something that I will also let you cover because you were the one who put it in there, not me.
Exactly, yeah. Microsoft announces support for interstitial banner ads. I can't stand ads, but I understand that we live in a world in which we expect everything for free, or what we think is free, and usually that freedom comes at a cost, which, of course, is ads. So they are basically, this means that in the Microsoft, it's for the Microsoft Store services, the SDK, and it means that you can put full big banner ads in there, and of course banner ads are better banner ads, better in a few different ways. Obviously, it is full screen. A banner ad is full screen, so it's, a user can't really.
It's more than a banner ad, I guess. I mean, technically still considered banner ad, but when I hear the name banner ad, I think just like a little rectangle. This is a full screen advertisement, which is just, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. I don't have any issues with ads if they aren't interfering with the user experience. On a lot of websites, thankfully not ours, there are so many ads that will either slow the site down, or they are sometimes they are filled with malware. It depends on the site, of course. But generally, advertisements on the web have a far higher chance of screwing up the user experience than advertisements anywhere else. I mean, when was the last time that your browser froze up because of a print ad? And
yeah.
And of course, the ads in Windows 10 apps are honestly pretty fine. They're all run through Microsoft Ad Services for the most part, to my knowledge. They're all pretty fine. They don't really interfere. And,
they're getting to the point where they will. Interstitial itself, it means like between or something. I guess I can just look it up. Yeah, it's
these are full screen ads.
Yeah, but
these are full screen, and that is the point where I definitely draw the line.
It basically meaning it's interrupting. It's right in the middle of what you're consuming. Interstitial is of forming or occupying interstices, not interspecies, interstices, I think. Basically living in the spaces in between, and that certainly sucks. But if you are an advertiser, this is a good thing for you, and I don't know. I guess it's just worth sharing.
Not if you want users to trust you, I don't think, because like I said, advertisements that don't interfere with things are fine, and there's a lot of well, maybe not a lot, but there's plenty of again, maybe not plenty, but there's UWP apps out there that have ads in there that honestly you don't even notice it. You know what? I honestly don't care about Facebook ads because they are to a point where it doesn't really bug you. It isn't getting in your way. It generally just blends in there well with the timeline, and it's fine.
All right, so Andy, if I'm advertising something to you, I want to make you aware of something.
Wait a second. I do want to just say one thing, though. For UWC stuff, for an example, though, of a way done right, I opened up the news app, and I see normal stories, but then just in there with the stories in a little block like a story, $200 off Surface Book with Windows 10, sponsored by Staples and Microsoft, and it looks just like any other story. That's perfectly fine. That doesn't get in my way of the experience. It's not obnoxious. It's not flashing music or playing video or whatever. It's just like, oh, okay, there's a picture of Surface Book, $200 off. It's like seeing a coupon in a newspaper. That's perfectly fine to me.
But it could be misleading, leading you to believe that it is non-biased, or at least an actual news article, whereas it is most definitely an ad. It's not presented as a news article, and it flat out says sponsored right there on it. Okay.
So it's like it makes it completely clear that it is an ad, but it does so while not getting in your way or not drawing your attention too much. You just scroll over, and as soon as you look at it, you see little differences that tell you, okay, that's not a normal story.
I think another example similar to that would be in Bing, for example, that you have the top 1, 2, 3, depending on which would be promoted, and they are often what you're looking for. Okay, you search Amazon, and Amazon will pop up under promoted, and it'll also come up under whatever.
Yeah, promoted search results are a little interesting because of how some companies abuse them, but that is a story for another day and on a podcast that talks about security and whatnot.
Yeah, my point is that I actually make a point to click on those if it's actually what I want, because for one, it's going to remember that for me, but also that why not pay? Okay. If I'm already going there, why not help support Bing? Now, this isn't me being self-righteous. It's like, it is actually what I want. I'm going to click on it, especially if it's something that's going to come back at me. It's going to make Bing better or whatever. And that's being incredibly idealistic, I understand. So, my other point, though, as far as ads, Andy, if I'm trying to get an ad to you, trying to make something known to you, and I put it in a place like on Facebook, for example, that you don't even see or notice it doesn't, quote unquote, bother you. Is the ad even working? If you just skim right over it and it doesn't create any engagement,
I think there's a difference between bother and notice, because it's like kind of a level of subtlety. If your advertisement is subtle, I'm still probably going to notice it. And I can look over it, and maybe I'll be interested in it, but if it is obnoxious, if it actually bugs me or bothers me with annoying music or video that autoplays or et cetera, at that point I decide, no, I'm not going to care about it. I'm going to get away from it, or I'm potentially going to block it depending on what device I'm using or what browser I'm using or whatever, just fill in the blanks for your situation here. And I will, of course, not look at that ad. I will not go to whatever it is. Just kind of on principle of, if your advertisements are annoying, I'm not going to reward you for having annoying advertisements. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a me thing there, but I know some other people will probably out there, maybe even listening to this, feel the same.
I quite literally close out that tab. Whatever I was wanting to read, whatever it was, I will close it out if there's an autoplay video. I'm sorry. I don't know. I really do like how our site actually does it with the really very relevant ads along the side. And of course that's based on my cookies and stuff like that. But, still some of the, whatever, I'm satisfied.
And we have a couple of ones that are completely custom that we run from time to time that are pretty good. I mean, they don't bug you. But anyways, moving on, I guess, because we're getting to the 40-minute mark, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of want to do more podcasts like this where we aren't jumping from subject to subject to keep it going. We're just going with the flow of a conversation, and I like doing it this way. Yeah. And if anyone else does, let us know, because I want to convince people to let us keep it this way.
Well, Andy, tell us about Samsung.
Okay, they make the phone I use. Oh, more. Oh, they're going to make the next phone I use too. Oh boy. All right. Samsung announced the Galaxy S8 the other day. Actually, just yesterday. And it is a very interesting looking phone. There's changes to it that I don't like. There's changes I do like, and there's some stuff that's ripped off. That's basically the description of your average Samsung phone every single release. But this one is a little interesting for a couple of reasons. First off, it has something called DeX. That's short for Desktop Experience, and like we mentioned at the start of the show, it is Continuum. Although it is Continuum with plenty of the features Microsoft promised for actual Continuum. It has multi-window support. I'm pretty sure it has support for touchscreen if you have a touchscreen display connected to it. I haven't seen too much confirmation for that, but I think I read that it was available. Not 100% sure, but I think it was. And it is Samsung's very own desktop environment. It runs their own Android apps, and of course any other Android app, but theirs are specifically optimized for the desktop experience, and so is Microsoft Office. The entire tablet Office suite, tablet/mobile, you get the idea, is specifically optimized for it. And what interests me really is that Android Office was really good at being optimized for a desktop environment on Android anyways. I toyed with a thing called Remix OS for a while, and Remix OS is Android on, on the desktop. You can easily install it alongside Windows. In fact, it installs with an executable and doesn't even run off its own partition. But it is desktop Android, and so of course I tried out Microsoft apps on there, and I found out that Microsoft apps already scale to desktop size fairly easily. Even the Android Outlook app, which had a couple of issues, was still pretty good. And so Microsoft is also working with Samsung specifically to produce their own tweaks and changes to Office that make it work even better in a desktop environment for that. And then to make things even a little stranger, Microsoft stores are going to start selling Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus Microsoft editions. There is a Microsoft edition of an Android phone running a Google operating system. I mean, it kind of goes with Android phone, but you get the idea. That is produced by Samsung. And Microsoft is going to sell that in their stores with some extra Microsoft apps preloaded on it. And yeah, that's really, really different. And it says that Microsoft customization is applied to the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus Microsoft Edition when the devices are unboxed and connected to Wi-Fi. This customization ensures users a best-in-class productivity experience with Microsoft applications such as Office, OneDrive, Cortana, Outlook, and more. And so basically, it's a Samsung phone preloaded with apps you would expect on a Microsoft phone. That's interesting. Microsoft has partnered with Android device producers in the past to get stuff like Office preloaded on phones. I don't remember if my S7 came preloaded with Office on it or not, though I'm leaning towards not.
I think it was the S5 actually that it came with. That it was probably the first time that OneDrive and Skype and I think Word, Excel, PowerPoint, maybe OneNote were preloaded on there. At least the international or like the unlocked versions. And then they got to AT&T and Verizon, and that all went down the drain, at least for the most part.
Yeah, I got mine through Verizon.
Maybe S6, but
I got mine through Verizon, so that might explain why I don't remember having too many Microsoft things preloaded on it. I do know there was at least one app in there, and I forget if it was Skype or Office, Word specifically. I can't remember. But yeah, if you specifically want to get a phone with all that stuff on it, you can buy the Galaxy S8 from Microsoft, which, again, pretty weird.
Well, they sell Samsung laptops, which of course is running Windows, but still,
yeah, that's the thing. It's even if they sell devices that are produced by another company, generally they at the very least run an operating system that is produced by Microsoft. I mean, you don't see Microsoft selling PlayStation 4s in there alongside Xboxes, do you?
No. But if Microsoft had, let's see, this is in the gaming territory, so I'm going to screw this up. But the Microsoft Game Studios, or whatever that is called, right? If they made
Microsoft Game Studios.
If they made a game and it was also available on PS4, why would they not sell a PS4 as well and make a cut on it?
That is potentially true, yeah. The gaming space is pretty different, though.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is pretty much locked into their own platforms, with the exception of when they developed stuff for the Game Boy Advance, which was a Nintendo product. But even if they wanted to, Nintendo probably wouldn't let them sell them in a Microsoft store.
Think of it this way. Think of Google. Google selling something that runs Windows that most likely has Chrome on it and runs and uses Google. Like, Google wants people to use Google Search. They want people to use Chrome. And so if they can supply that means to do it...
Is this just a theoretical thing, or did they actually do
this
that?
This is very theoretical.
Okay, I was going to say that would surprise me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is theoretical.
Google's still pushing Chrome OS pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely. But they understand that it's such a huge majority of the searches, not majority anymore, but so many of the searches to begin with for Google were obviously done on a Windows machine, and sometimes to begin with was through Internet Explorer. And then, of course, they got Chrome out there, and, well, whatever. You get my point. It's still in Google's best interest for someone to use something else that still has their stuff on it. I'm actually using hand gestures right now, but that's not helping anyone. Anyway, I maybe my analogy holds up, maybe it doesn't. What's next here? Let's keep rolling.
To a degree. I mean, if we ignore the fact it's Google, then yeah.
Well, yeah, Google. Well, we can make fun of Google quite easily, but that's
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go and lightning round here.
Yeah.
Our next category is our very first ever dumb stuff section, which, surprise, surprise, contains news about Twitter. Oh, my goodness.
Go for it, Andy.
Twitter is no longer counting handles in tweets towards the tweet's 140 character limit.
Okay, that part right there, I'm not like brokenhearted about. The rest of it,
if it was handled properly, it would be fine. Now, instead of saying, all right, the first 3 handles in a tweet are no longer counting towards it, but they still show up in the tweet. That's not the case. Instead, Twitter has gone completely insane and has changed tweets that mention another user into replies. And the way that replies are handled is that the name is put at the top of the tweet. And it's not in the tweet at all. And if you are mentioning like 2-3 people, you're going to have to click the list of people that are in that tweet and it's aimed at to be able to see everyone that's mentioned there. And this is a change that comes with pretty more confusing, much worse user interface, which leaves a lot of people confused as to how to untag someone. And you can tag up to 50 people in a tweet now. Because we didn't have enough of a spam bot problem already.
So now you could already tag people in Twitter, and you could in a tweet, and you could also reply to them. So which one are? Did I miss something?
The thing that replies worked before is that Twitter was simple at first. There were tweets, and tweets could be replies to other tweets, but they weren't specifically classified as a reply. Like, you could have the tweet was basically just an traditional tweet with an @ mention at the start that would show up if you clicked another tweet. It wasn't a special classification like on Facebook. You know how they have posts and they have comments, and you know how those two are immediately different. That's what Twitter's trying to do. With Twitter, tweets that were the start of a thread and replies to that thread looked pretty identical, and they're trying to change that, and it is not going over very well. There's people stuck in they're stuck in chains that notify 50 different people wondering, how can I get untagged from this? Which the majority of the people in that 50 tweet chain don't understand how to untag someone with the new system, which is just absolute garbage. And yeah, it was my breaking point. Twitter has made so many dumb changes lately that just do nothing right, even if they do something that is somewhat right, like not having someone's username count towards the 140 character limit. That is fine, but it should not have been handled like this. Anyone who thought it should have been handled like this probably should have been fired and replaced with someone competent. And just in general, I truly feel as if there is no way that this website can restore itself to what it once was, and it's changing and moving away from all of the simplicity about it that I liked. I'm not the biggest fan of that Facebook-style system I mentioned where you have posts and comments. I was a fan of the simple Twitter system where you have a tweet and you have another tweet that just so happens to be a reply to the first tweet. But they looked the same, they functioned the same, they didn't have all of this insanity in there. And it was just a nice, simple system. That's all I want. That's really all I want out of a social media site. That's what drew me to Twitter in the first place. And I am really, really sad to see the way it's headed. But they have lost my support entirely. There's no way they're turning this sinking ship around. Okay, rant over.
All right. Well,
actually, one more thing I will mention though is like at the start of the ship. I'm sorry for forgetting that, but just worth saying again. You can still find me on Twitter at FusionFan45, and you can still send me a tweet at FusionFan45, and I will probably reply because I will check in to see the news, I guess. But
might as well just DM him so he gets a different notification.
Yeah, well, either one works really, but because like I'll still reply to people who at mention me or DM me, whichever one. It'll be fine, I guess, but. I am done actively using the site for my own purposes. I've given up on it.
So you rage quit Twitter, but you were just kidding.
Well, not quite. It's like I'm done using it for my own purposes. I'm not going to take part in this crazy reply system, and I'm not going to be replying to tweets that much. But if someone wants to ask me a question, then I guess I'll pop in from time to time. Maybe you won't get the fastest response, but maybe you'll probably still get one. Because like I still have a lot of people who want to send me something through Twitter, so it's like I cannot just drop it entirely because I don't have everyone added on Skype or Steam or whatever. So I kind of have to have just a tiny little bit of a link there, but I'm not going to be anywhere near as active as I was. I'm not going to be posting new stuff that isn't replies to anyone who replies to me.
I'm going back to chain letters. Screw it.
I joined MySpace.
When listeners, when Andy told me
this,
he told me, "Hey, I joined MySpace in the beginning when we were warming up on the show." I just like, and he was serious. He sent me a link to his new MySpace profile. I guess I knew that MySpace was technically still a thing. Listeners, if you're listener, the one other of you that has a MySpace account, why don't you go? It's not even called friending. What is it? Circles,
I think
buddies.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't even like MySpace, but I like it more than Twitter.
Well, maybe you're just a solitary kind of man that you just need to, have a social network that has only you in it. So
yeah, it's are you still an emperor if you're an emperor of yourself? I think the answer is yes. They say no man is an island. But I would like to say, I beg to differ.
Andy, I'm moving on to the next article.
All right.
Office. I like Office. I use Office. I'm old and Office-y. I use the desktop apps. I use Outlook. I still use email. Email me. But what's happening soon, at least you can already do this on the Fast Ring, Office Insider for Fast Ring, is that you auto-save if your file is stored on OneDrive or SharePoint or OneDrive for Business. It will autosave in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. Now, OneNote already does autosaving, which is basically just syncing. If you think of it whoop-de-doo. There is no save button in OneNote, but in the other ones, of course, there is. There are save buttons in the other ones. And just a reminder that the save button is still that floppy disk, which Andy, you probably have seen a floppy disk in real life at maybe a.
I was lucky enough to grow up in a time when I was still being taught about like they were still teaching about floppy disks in school when I was a kid, and the computer that my dad had, he actually had this one custom built because he knew a guy who did that for a living, and amazingly, the guy retired after this computer died. My dad wanted to replace it, but he had a computer custom built with some of the cheapest parts he could find because he didn't want to pay full price, which kind of was a little issue later on. But anyways, aside from having 2 CD drives, it also had a floppy drive, which I have a feeling was used only twice. And that was putting in one floppy and then taking it out and then never using it again.
I have a vehicle that has a CD player that I've never used.
I am actually let down that newer cars don't have CD players. I actually still buy those all the time.
Well, I will buy an album, but it is digital. Anyway, way off track here. Another thing regarding Office is that Excel is getting one of the best Office features soon. Basically, what that feature is the co-authoring experience. And I'm not going to go into detail on how you would actually do that. As far as co-authoring, it has a lot of value if it's something working
together.
Well, yay, working together, teamwork, hoorah! But go to the site if you want to know how to do this. Right now, you can only do it on the Insider Fast Ring, the Office Insider Fast Ring ring. But I'm not going to dig into that any further. One line news item here, Ignite 2017 registration is open. The dates on that is September 25th through the 29th, and this year it is in Orlando, Florida.
All right. And now we move on to the Xbox stuff, which probably deserves a bit more time than I'm going to squeeze it into, but here we go. The Xbox One officially gets the Windows 10 Creators Update, although it's called the March Update for the Xbox One. because you aren't really going to be producing art or anything on there, although it does have some features that are in the creators update as well, like built-in beam streaming,
So Beam,
which is really cool.
Beam, almost by definition, is creating. That is part of the creators update.
It is true.
So I think if someone tried hard enough, they could make that point. They could argue that this is still the creators update.
Yeah,
that's
although it's
all
not
the
the
input
focus.
I have on that, I guess.
Yeah, although the focus is much more on other things, like the dashboard has a changed up design, and speed is vastly improved, but this is done by cutting out some features. Their snap mode is dead, and personally I think good riddance to that, and so does Microsoft, of course. They have no plans to replace it whatsoever, and they are bringing in a picture-in-picture mode for some things, although that's not going to happen for live TV, and users will have to go to the Xbox user voice to upvote it if they do want to get picture-in-picture back for TV, so they can watch reruns of Seinfeld and The Sopranos while they're playing Destiny or Forza. And I personally feel that it's worthless, and Microsoft says that not many people used it, and it has just over 1,000 upvotes on user voice when I checked, which is puts it near the top of user voice trending stuff there, but I don't think out of the entire Xbox One user base, 1,000 people isn't that much, but also depends on how many of them actually know that user voice exists. I think that maybe if Microsoft promoted this from the Xbox One itself and maybe had a little banner thing, not banner, but little box on the side where they have advertisements on the dashboard and said, you can upvote Xbox One features here, maybe it would have a much higher count there. But yeah, speed is definitely improved. I mean, just the guide is zooming around, the guide is, but the dashboard is what I meant to say. The dashboard is significantly faster. It has a much nicer looking design. It's got all these neat little improvements here and there and everywhere. The guide is not completely different. It still opens up from the side, but it is vastly improved and acts much more like its Xbox 360 counterpart. Pushing the Xbox guide button actually gets you the guide as opposed to the home, where previously you would have to double tap the home button to open the guide, and it was finicky, to say the least. Because it would often take me like three times trying that to get it right without accidentally closing out to the home screen. So I'm all for this change. It does feel a little slower. Excuse me. Feels a little slower when you're using, say, the store and you just want to immediately get back to the home. But when you're in a game and want to take a screenshot, it goes so much easier and so much faster there. So that is one of my favorite changes in that. There's also improved accessibility options, which you can read about on the site. There's a variety of changes in there. And yeah, it's a good change. And one final note, Bungie, the studio that once made Halo, once was Microsoft's shining star on the gaming front, and they've since gone over to Activision, but they have revealed the sequel to Destiny, which is unsurprisingly called Destiny 2. And they've got a reveal trailer, they've got teaser trailers, and it looks interesting, although I'm not particularly excited since Destiny, I actually haven't played Destiny, but I have not seen any reason to. And still not seeing that for the sequel, but we haven't seen any actual gameplay footage of it yet, and maybe it'll win me over when they show that off. And I think that's about it for this week.
Real quick, the app FoundByte actually ends its support for that app, well, the day that you're listening to this, March 31st. If you hear this right away, you can still go to foundbyte.com or something and plug in your user ID for that, and you can be emailed the found bytes that you have uploaded. Now, this may be a small portion of people, but it was still pretty substantial app, pretty awesome, and I actually had the opportunity to interview the founder on my other show, so check the Twitter timeline if that's what you're interested in. But make sure you go out and get your found bytes before they are lost, if that's something you're concerned with.
that's it for the show. We're going to finish up real quick. Follow the site on Twitter if you really want to. MSPoweruser. And of course, we used to love Twitter as our favorite medium. I'm on Twitter at VernonEL. Andy's there at FusionFan45. Make sure you subscribe to the show so that the new episodes are out. We publish every Friday. And thanks to Andy and Mahidi and everyone else who works with the publication of the show. That's it. Take care. Have a wonderful week, everyone. See ya.
Later.